Let's go to Tuesday in the NBA. We're going to preview who we can stream in, what our plan is, who's in and who's out. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm about to show feet on Maine. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on Instagram at redrock_bball, and on TikTok. Bloody can't remember. Instagram, Locked On Fantasy Basketball. That's it. What a disaster of a start to an episode, but that is okay because I am here to say thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms, and we're ready to double bang, but you can also go check lockedondaily.com and find the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. That would be mucho apreciato, I think is the correct way of saying that. It is World Spay Day. So if your pets have their genitals intact, it's probably not your day. But if you don't have that as the situation, well, celebrate it, I guess. All right, we're looking ahead to the games on Tuesday. We have got a bunch of games, 7 of them. Only one team comes on a back-to-back, and that is the Charlotte Hornets. We've already talked about that yesterday. I do want to talk about something. I'm not going to adjust the streaming plan for this week, but I've been doing a lot more work on trying to figure out, and this is always hard for me. Oh, poor me. It's always hard for me doing these shows, trying to incorporate the things that will be applicable to most people, but also understanding that there's a lot of differences across things. And one of those things is finding the right streaming sort of cutoffs in terms of games played. In the past, I have always used as a sort of standard number, if there are 9 games or fewer, we're good to stream. If it's 10 or more, we get iffy. If it's over 11, we're cooked. We're going to have to make start-sit decisions. But I've been doing a lot more sort of mathematical, combinatorial probability sort of work on it. And I think the 9 might be a little low. I think that, and the work that I've done on that, it's going to depend on roster size. If you've got 10 starters, 3 bench, 10-4, 10-6, it depends. And that adjusts all this. But I think from next week onwards, when we're talking streaming and quality game days, I'm going to move that number of 9 up to 10. And so 10 or fewer is a streamable day, and then 11 or more becomes debatable. In that when we're talking, and I'm talking to you guys and we're talking about numbers, and I always want you to check your individual settings to make sure your roster and how it looks and whether you've got that. But I think that if we go through and look at if there are 11 games on, then we'll be in a situation where a lot of the time, a big chunk of the time, we're going to be having to make start or sit decisions. Like the way that I worked it out is if we're running with a standard sort of 13-man roster, if we have 11 games on an NBA day, it's about a 28% chance you've got to make a start-sit decision. But if you're running with 10 starters and 4 bench, which is Fantrax's default, and I think is a pretty strong default way to go, I think it actually should be bigger, but whatever, you're running at a 46% chance if on an 11-game day you'd have to make a start-sit decision. So I think if I use 10 as the, hey, this is a definite sort of stream day, I think we're going to be better off than using it as 9. With 10, if you're running 10 starters and 6 bench, then you are likely going to have to make a start-sit decision, but the majority of people are running 13-man rosters or 14-man rosters. So I think we are, and again, because I've already set the discussion about this week, regarding a 9 quality game cutoff, and I hope this is not too confusing, but I am going to change it from next week into looking at 10 or fewer is full stream ahead, 11 or more is iffy, and then once you get to 12, it's basically going to be a more likely than not scenario that you're going to have to make that decision. So just wanted to give you a heads up on the work that I've been trying to do to figure out the best way to approach this. I'm always trying to look to improve and do things better, but that's where we're at with that. So we are going to stick with a 9 game limit for this week because I've already given that information out, but then we'll move to 10 from next week. All right, let's talk about how the schedule looks across, just a few little things before we get into the individual category type stream stuff. The back-to-backs, there are 4 teams playing Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. Celtics, Rockets, Spurs, and Raptors have got that combo going. Obviously, there are rest risks with the Celtics. The Rockets could be resting somebody with Fred VanVleet maybe returning to action across that back-to-back. The Spurs are probably just watching for Charles Bassey there. And the Raptors, well, if Jakob Poeltl does manage to play, well, then he would be at risk of resting across those games. But overall, there's nothing major there outside of the Boston stuff, which could get a little bit messy depending on who they want to start and who they want to sit. If we want to look at chunks the next 5 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there is a Friday with 10 games on in there, but as I just told you, a lot of the time you are going to be able to stream that day. These players are all under 30% rostered on Yahoo, and all of them play 3 games in the next 5 nights. So if you are limited in terms of the moves that you use, these are some guys you can add, get 3 games in 5 nights, and have a bit of a benefit. Jose Alvarado, Royce O'Neal, Kelly Olynyk, who I think they'll keep starting this week, but I don't know. Grayson Allen, BDNR Nick Richards. Now, Nick Richards is not a must-roster player. Neither is Allen or Olynyk or O'Neal. Alvarado is. But with 3 games in 5 nights, when there are other teams that will play 2 games over that time frame, that extra game, the 50% minute boost over a lot of these fringe guys is important. And that's why they're on that list. Same goes with Najee Marshall. And just squeezing out extra value is going to be really important for you. Again, that is how fantasy leagues are set up. We might not like it, and I don't, but it's how they're set up a lot of the time. So playing to the rules and using the rules to your advantage is how you have success. And that's really what we want to have fun, obviously, and we also want to have success. So that's what we're looking at. In terms of some key statuses for Tuesday's games, LaMelo Ball is playing on Monday, so I expect that he sits on Tuesday. Mark Williams, oh hi Mark, is out on Monday. I expect that Mark plays on Tuesday. So I don't think that Melo is going to play Tuesday, but we watch it. Al Horford is listed questionable for Tuesday. They play Tuesday, Wednesday. So Horford, you would think, is going to sit one of those games. Porziņģis is not on the injury report for Tuesday. I thought it would make more sense for them to sit both of those guys against the Raptors, and they both come back and play Wednesday, but apparently not. I would say that Horford is likely to not play in that game. But what we also have is that Luke Kornet has been ruled out of that game. So Kornet's been the guy that's been taking advantage of these scenarios, but it doesn't look like he is going to be available. Well, he's not. He's been ruled out already. And Drew Holiday has been ruled out also for Boston. Darius Garland, who missed the last game with a hip injury, it does appear, thanks to Kenny Atkinson's words of telling us that he will be available for this game, but he's currently questionable. Fred VanVleet has been upgraded to questionable, so he can return in this game. They do have, like I said, the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back, so after an ankle injury, would VanVleet play both of those games? Seems a little iffy, but we'll see. I've got Tari Eason on this list, not because he's injured, but because it's a back-to-back. Does he play Tuesday? Does he play Wednesday? Does he play both? He's been sitting back-to-backs, and they said the short-term plan was for him to continue to sit one game of a back-to-back. I just don't know which one it is at this stage. And the other one there is Jakob Poeltl, who Darko Rajakovic said was going to be coming back pretty soon. Does he play? Like I said, they've also got the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. So Poeltl could return in either of these games. It would seem more likely that he sits on Tuesday, comes back Wednesday. But that is why it's a key status that we have to watch. Simple stuff. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, if they swoosh, you save. Swoosh. Swoosh. Yeah, thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. When any player, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if they play for a team like the Raptors. If anyone scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. So, they do it on Monday night. Tuesday, starting at midday, all the way through to midnight, you can place an order using Dash Pass and get 50% off up to $10 off. Get people over for your watch party? Bang, there you go. Nice $10 discount. Get something you just want a snacky snack? Well, off you go. You can do that as well. So sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order. The next day, up to $10 off. Just use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. You must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Okay, that brings us now to take a look at streaming options. Who are we streaming in for points leagues? Who are we streaming in for category leagues? For the games on Tuesday, We'll talk a little bit about streaming plans at the end as well, but if you're just doing individual game stuff, that's what we're doing, single game streams. We'll start with Yahoo Points, and the Yahoo Points and ESPN Points League names are the same. They're just in slightly different orders. We'll start with Yahoo Points understanding. Again, I'm trying to cover a bunch of different league sizes and league competitivenesses and double onyx and diamond status leagues out there. Those of you who have got, honestly, I heard some of you might have someone like Wendell Carter Jr.'s kid already on a roster just in case in 20 years' time he's ready to go. But we're not gonna just concern ourselves too much with that at the moment. Cole Anthony. Now I understand. Hit my projections. I knocked him down a few minutes, but I have seen this pattern with the Orlando Magic so often. Right? Is that Anthony goes big game. Oh my God, Anthony Black goes crazy. Oh, Anthony Black's terrible again, and Cole Anthony pops back. It's always fraught with danger using Cole Anthony, or for that matter, Mr. Black, because Mosley can do anything. He could roll Cole Anthony, who'd been so good and had a quiet game, so that they went to Anthony Black. But it could easily just be back to 30 minutes of Cole here. And I'll just believe a little bit in the talent of Cole Anthony over Anthony Black, currently as they exist now in the NBA, and I will lean into him playing 30 minutes. But that could go tits up immediately. So just be aware of that. But he is still available in over 80% of Yahoo leagues, Cole Anthony, and I do like him here. Jose Alvarado, still available in over 70% of Yahoo leagues. And he's coming off the bench, but as long as he continues to play 30 minutes, which he is, and BJ Boston's out for them as well again, I'm fine with it. He should be rostered in all of these spots. If he comes off the bench and starts playing 22 minutes because they're rolling way more Kelly Olynyk and whatever they decide to do, then you make that adjustment. But for now, we still roll with him. Speaking of Kelly Olynyk, he's available in 92% of leagues on Yahoo. I don't think that he's a must-roster guy. He was great last game. He had 4 and 3 the game before that in one fewer minute. So it's not like it's just every game he's going to cook. I don't think he's quite got that ability in him. I know we'll fondly remember all of the past big Kelly Olynyk moments, but I don't think he's quite that guy anymore. Still, the stream ability is there. It seems like they're going to hold him as a starter for now for whatever reason, but they're doing it, so we adjust to it and stream him in. I got Wendell Carter Jr. there, who's under 30. I think he's actually bang on 30%, to be honest, which qualifies for what we're looking at here. I don't love Wendell as a long-term guy, but when we're streaming in with 7 games on, let's do it. Royce O'Neal, he's under 20% rostered. His last 2 games have been atrocious. The game before that was awesome, and that is the Royce O'Neal experience. I think we've seen that plenty of times. And then if you want to go deep, because we do like to hit all these different areas, Vince Williams Jr. in Memphis. He played 20 minutes last game as he returns from this ankle injury / some knee soreness. If he starts to push up, and he is, but I don't know when he hits, or if he hits 25-26, you'll notice that GG Jackson played 3 minutes last game. Again, he is not up to being a regular rotation NBA player. But if Vince can push to 25, he moves into an area where he's probably more of into a 12-team stream guy. At the moment, he's probably just deeper leagues, but he's available everywhere, everywhere. So when you're considering that in any sort of other situation, just keep an eye on Vince, because things are pushing up for him at the moment. On ESPN, again, that's the same names. It's just the order slightly different. Jose Alvarado, Cole Anthony, Royce O'Neal, Kelly Olynyk. Those same 4 names, just in different orders. And then you've got Wendell Carter and Vince Williams Jr. So same 6 names. So you've got a combination of 6 options there for different league sizes, league competitivenesses, and guys that you might be able to use as a single game streamer on Tuesday. Remembering we had the 4 guys, or the 4 teams earlier on that I talked about, who did play across in that back-to-back, that if you wanted to prioritize to get a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back game in, they're the 4 teams that you talk about. So one of them is Boston, one of them is Houston, one of them is San Antonio, and the other one is Toronto. So when we're talking about streaming guys, if you want that Tuesday, Wednesday combo, they're the ones that you end up going for. Now we can look into category leagues. Before we get into category leagues, it might be a natural spot to do a break. So we'll do it, and then we'll come back and we'll talk category league streaming. Points and threes. This is how we're going to do it on these shows. I know that it is a change from how we've been doing the shows, but I think it's the right time to make this switch. It's how I usually do it every year, and I think this ends up giving you more knowledge, more utility. And I know for some of you, be like, well, I've actually locked into the playoffs and I've got a first week bye, so I don't need to stream individually. That's great. You're doing so well. Well done. But like I said, every show can't cater specifically to everything that every individual person is doing. So I'm trying to always cover the best things that I can at the best time. Points and threes if we're in category leagues. Who are some guys to hit both of these categories? Again, I'm clumping things together. And as we head to probably the final 2 days of the week, I'll do it as individual categories. But I think it's better to broadly hit areas early on and then narrow it down when you see how your matchup looks. So if we're streaming in points and threes, again, the risky option of Cole Anthony. He could have 18 points with 4 threes. He could have 3 with 1 3 or 0 threes. I know that's risky. The next one is Moses Moody, who, while Jonathan Kuminga is out, probably gives you double-digit scoring with 2 or 3 triples. Pretty good result. Remembering, though, in a 12-team league, it is we love, as a society, as a bunch of humans, we love to see something that goes from 9 to 10. Single digit to double digit is like, oh, the world has changed. What an unbelievable result. No, I'm including me in this grouping. If you look down a list of numbers and you see something that then moves into 2 digits, you go, that stands out, even though 9 and 10 is no different than the difference between 8 and 9. Right? So we look at Moses Moody and he scores 14 points. You go, man, double-digit scoring. It's great. It's awesome. Awesome. It's still well below average in terms of what a fantasy contributor should give you in a 12-team league. Average is around 17.8 points, something like that. So honestly, an average points contribution from a player, it should be closer to 20 than to 10. But because things hit, and I talk about this just so we're all aware of our own mental stupidities, biases, ways that we get conned into things. Because we can look at it and go, man, 10 points, that's great. Is it? It's no better than someone getting 3 rebounds. It's no better than, it's like way worse than 1 steal or 1 block. It's the same basic value as hitting 1 3. And it's like getting 3 assists or 2 assists or something. Probably 3 assists. Maybe 4 rebounds. All right? They're not big numbers. But because the volume looks different, we can confuse ourselves sometimes. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway. Moody can get you 14 and 3 pretty comfortably. 16 and 4, possibly. Right, that's all very possible while he starts, gets more minutes, and plays this role. Dillon Brooks is there. That's sort of what he does. He can get steals as well. We know what the Dillon Brooks experience is, but the Rockets have the back-to-back, so that's a W. You've got Nick Smith, who, yeah, look, I think that it's interesting with Smith because I expect LaMelo Ball to be out. So you'll see another name on that list, Damian Barr, who has played like 30 minutes in the games that Ball has sat. And Barr and Smith should get more shots. They might be inefficient, but they should both hit double-digit scoring and both get multiple threes with some assists also. So they're in that mix there. And then the other name is Sam Hauser. Drew Holiday's out. Al Horford might be out. Hauser may start. It might be Horford that starts. But if Horford is out, Hauser will almost definitely start. And that will push him to 25, 26 minutes. And we know what he does. It's points and it's threes. And he's available like everywhere, really, at the moment. Like, no one's really rostering him. If we want to make a bit of a change into looking at big men, boards, and blocks, I don't know what to make of Bismack Biyombo and the rest of the season for the Spurs. They do have a back-to-back, so there's a W there already. He's not really rostered anywhere. Has he even been added to Yahoo? There was a point where he wasn't available on Yahoo, which is weird because he literally played in the NBA last season. But he's available everywhere. Charles Bassey had knee soreness, lasted 5 minutes last game. Biyombo is almost surely going to start, and they're not really looking to give anything to Sandro Mamukelashvili. So could you get 7 rebounds and 2 blocks? You could. You could also get 4 rebounds in 12 minutes, but I like the chances here for Biyombo to be interesting. Karlo Makovic is probably not going to play 30 minutes. He might play 22 or 23. That's probably enough for him to get 5 or 6 boards, maybe get up to 9 rebounds. Could block 2 shots. He's a pretty good option in those sort of categories. Goga Bitadze is under 65% on our rostered metric. Makes sense. He should have been dropped. But we saw last game that he provided the perfect sort of stream option in these categories. He could block 3 shots. He could have 9 rebounds. It's a very good stream option. He could also do nothing, but he's very good at that. For the deeper leagues, there are 3 names here who are available in a lot of different spots, but they could also have even standard league viability with Cornet out and maybe Al Horford not playing and Tillman on the injury report. Also, could the Pascal Donata Nemesh Keita pop up? He's probable, so he should be fine. But Keita's one of those guys that could play 20 minutes, play a little bit next to Porziņģis, but at least back him up. And this is more if Horford isn't there. But Cater could get 9 boards and 2 blocks easily. Jonathan Isaac's probably more of a 6 rebound player with 3 block upside. But he's at least in the rotation. Sometimes he randomly pushes over 20 minutes. Not always, but sometimes. And that's useful. And the other one there is the cockroach, Mason Plumlee, who's getting his 17, 18 minutes. He's more rebounds than blocks. If you get 1 block out of him, it's not bad. But he can get 7 rebounds with 4 points. And that's what we're looking for in these sort of things. But that, again, skews towards the deeper leagues. For your standard or shallower formats, the top 3 there, Biyombo, Makovic, and Badadze, are probably going to be more useful for you. Let's go to the little guys, the guards. How are we getting, or maybe the guards, but more how are we getting assists and steals? Most of these are guards, although not all of them are. We go with Cole Anthony again. It's risky, I know that, but he's got to be up there. But the projections are the projections, and I do set the projections, so I can do it without having much confidence in it, but he's there. Royce O'Neal also. This is what Royce O'Neal does. He gets steals, he hits threes, and he provides out-of-position assists. And one thing I know about O'Neal is I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming he's going to start. He's got 22-minute downside with 35-minute upside. And could you get 5 assists and 3 steals? Yep. And he's not a point guard. The next one is Kelly Olynyk, similar to O'Neal, out of position. His passing is very good. He could have 4 assists. He had 1 last game, but he'd have 4 or 5. He could get 2 steals. I think he had 3 steals in a game not long ago. Anyway, he's that sort of player who fills it up in multiple areas. And then we get to another guy who's going to be available in a lot of spots. His name is Damian Barr. Because this is under the expectation that LaMelo Ball is out and that they preserve KJ Simpson and his 2-way contract days. So Alfred Payton will probably start, but Barr has played 29 to 30 minutes in the last 2 games. Ball is out, so I do like that. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has been absolutely useless right across basically all season. But he's a starter. He might play 30 minutes. He might get 3 steals. He might get 4 assists. It's not great work, but it's there. And then Najee Marshall also is an out-of-position assists forward who generates some steals. And like these guys, like KCP, like Barr, Olynyk, O'Neal, and Anthony, they'll contribute in threes as well, which is a category that does tie into these stats too. If we look at percentages, we've got 3 names there for field goals, 3 names for free throws. Brandon Clark, Bismack Biyombo, and Goga Badadze cover different spectrums of roster percentages, and they can help you in field goal percentage. For free throws, a lot of guys can do this. Grayson Allen, Grade A Dick, and Luke Kennard, 3 of the best, well, Dick's not one of them, but 2 of the guys who are elite 3-point shooters. One of them who pretends to be one at this point, which he's not, but he might be there. But both of them, or all 3 of them, are excellent free throw shooters. Maybe they get 2 to 3 attempts and hit all of them, and there's enough value in streaming that in that position. So if we look now at the streaming plan idea, I talked about this on the injury update show, and I'll say it again today. I think the way I discussed it in the weekly plan, I think I made an error in saying, hey, if you move off of a Hawks guy, you can... Now, the Hawks still only have the 2 quality games using our quality game designation of 9 games or fewer. That's true. One of them is on Monday. So dropping a Hawks guy on Monday to get a 1-day game stream on Monday is not really worth it, unless you were dropping someone to add Quentin Grimes. Because I think Quentin Grimes is going to have real value rest of season. So that part I would stand by. If you dropped a Hawks guy to add like a Capella, a Levert or Niang to add Grimes, I'd be all for that, even if it's not a plus in terms of quality games for the week. But the other teams that we had on there, which were the Cavs, the Grizzlies, and the Knicks, they didn't play a game on Monday. So if you drop one of those guys for Monday and added the players that we talked about, which was Grimes or Dunn, it would work. And then, of course, when we're talking about the 2-slot streaming, that is requiring to get a Hornets guy, which is Monday through to Thursday. We talked about that with Nick Smith and Josh Green being available, and then flipping them to Spurs guys at the end of the week. So we already know that Monday move. So we're going to look more now here for Tuesday on the 1-slot streaming. And I've got 4 different names to look at. You want to hit it so that you get the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. And the plan was at the start of the week, go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then Sunday. But again, some of you will have the ability to stream in on Friday, so your plan can be a little bit different. You can go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and go that way to get extra games in if you so choose. Now, because I had the idea of streaming in Quentin Grimes, and then we heard all this more rumble about Joel Embiid, I think that if you stream Grimes in, you'll just hold him. All right, so I'll talk about those names in a sec, but I think if you added Grimes as a stream for Monday for a 1-game stream, you would like to hold him, and then you'd look to say, hey, do I have a Hawks guy on my roster with 1 quality game left for the week? could I move off of one of those players? I think that would work out well. You would still get that advantage of then getting five quality games over the final 6 days while losing one from a Hawks player. So it's still a +4 advantage while holding on to Grimes, because I think his value is going to be pretty strong rest of season. If we're talking about who can we look at as Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back options, Dylan Brooks and Keldon Johnson really do stand out to me, especially when you're looking for scoring. And then you can go to Sam Hauser, or you could go, of course, to the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. But basically, you want to be targeting somebody from those back-to-back teams. Get 2 games in, Tuesday and Wednesday, for one roster move. And we are going to be tracking it. So these are the names I'm looking at. I've got 4 names there. The 2 that I'll use in my tracking are going to be Brooks and Johnson, and we'll see how they go versus what would have happened if you dropped any of those other players that I talked about as being guys that were dropping because they had low quality games for the week. So we're going to track it, and we're going to see how it all plays out. Remembering again, next week, when we move into the tracking stage, we're going to adjust the quality game threshold on it. Guys, I hope that wasn't too confusing, me babbling on about quality games. Hope not. I think it'll all come into focus later on, but that's okay. I hope that, I want it to be straightforward, but I worry that it's not. Anyway, hit the thumb up on the video. Leave your comments down below. Guys, keep things going. Keep it rolling. Hopefully you understood what I was talking about and I didn't just word salad it. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.